So it's time to have a look at UCOB, and so naturally we're going to start with Twintania here, which is of course the first phase of the fight. So as for where you want to tank her, you tank her always on essentially one of the markers, and that is because she will drop what is known as a Neuralink at various stages throughout the fight. She'll drop her first Neuralink at 74% health, the second one at 44% health, and then the third one when you kill her. So we'll see it in a bit, but when she drops to 74% health and she drops the Neuralink, we'll pull her to the next marker, which is C, and then finally we'll pull her towards B at 44% and kill her there. It is important that we drop Neuralinks at these assigned spots so that we make it essentially a triangle. It doesn't matter too much which one you tank her at first or which direction you pull her. It just makes natural sense to tank her at A first in the north. So the first mechanic that you really have to worry about, and you'll have to deal with a lot in this fight, is of course the infamous Twister. I'm sure it doesn't need much explanation for anyone, but essentially when the cast bar finishes, you have to have moved from the spot that you were previously at. And it'll place these little twisty boys on the ground, and if you hit them, it'll do a big explosion, kill you, and knock anyone else who's caught in the explosion back to their death. So essentially it's just move at the end of the cast, but you need to be cautious of everyone else around you, and casters and the like can't be greedy with it. It's not worth greeding. Immediately following Twister, she places this red marker on top of someone's head, and it's essentially just a stack on the butt there. And it does split damage. Death sentence is a tank swap. You have to swap during the cast. And then so we're setting back up again, we're spreading again for Twisters, which are incoming. However, also note that what I said earlier, that if you get to 74% health, it'll drop the Neuralink instead. So more than likely, with the higher DPS output coming from this expansion later, we will skip this set of Twister. I know back in the day in Stormblood, we even skipped this a few times. So we've set up for Twisters coming here again, but it's totally possible we will skip this set. But it's essentially the same thing. You come in for Twisters and the stack. So it's pushed below 74, places the Neuralink there. You can just sort of barely see it. It's this big black thing on the ground. Big black button. And then we pull it over to C, which at which point it introduces a new mechanic. I forget the specific name of it, but it's essentially just fire puddles that just shoots out at the person furthest from the boss. So we have our ranged in the back, just baiting the fire puddle so it doesn't hit anyone. If you're caught in the fire puddle or you stay in it too long, you get a really nasty dot and you will die. And then this mechanic here is Hatch, which you need to be standing in a Neuralink to survive. This ball spawns under the boss and will just beeline towards the person who's targeted by the hatch marker, and they will need to, of course, go over into the Neuralink to survive it. One thing I might mention while I remember is that when you're in the Neuralink, you will do reduced damage. It applies a pretty nasty damage down, so generally speaking, you don't want to stand in the Neuralink unless you have to. So yeah, they just go to the... and when the hatch explodes, it does AoE damage around it, so you want to stand away from the Neuralinks, generally speaking, as much as possible. So it's essentially just repeating this again, so it does the fireballs on the ranged after the hatch is resolved again, which they need a bait for. And then, sorry, there was a tank swap there. Yes. So essentially just, yeah, it does a tank swap there, which is swap 4. And then so then it doesn't have a generate. So it's essentially just repeating. It'll do another generate. However, with this one, you'll have Twister. So you just need to make sure you move at the end of the Twister cast there, and that you don't also move into the hatch and get hit by the AoE from that. You push it to below 44%, it'll drop that last Neuralink, so then we have the tanks pull it over to B was the final marker for us. Other groups will go the other direction, but it essentially does not matter. And at that point it's doing it again, fireballs as a bait on the ranged, so he's set up for that. And then at this point, 2 DPS, so the hatches will always target the DPS, so 2 DPS will get targeted by hatches. We have 2 Neuralinks to work with at this stage, so we just call which Neuralink we're going for. We sort of have a priority system. Myself, back as a Black Mage in the day, would just go to A, and Eternal as the range would go far to C. But generally speaking, call the marker that you're looking at going for, and yeah. You just set up to go into the marker and eat the hatches. Now, so it'll start shooting fireballs here again after that hatch is resolved, immediately after. However, these fireballs are not targeted. It can be on purely any player whatsoever. And so an important thing is to keep the back of the boss clear, which means the melee had to pull off of the back of the boss right before the hatch is resolved. And as we have this stack marker which we have to resolve. So we've all got to go to the back of the boss, towards the center of the boss, I guess. The side of the boss that is towards the center, I should say, rather than the back. Normally he'd be facing out, but he's facing in to shoot the fireballs here. But towards the center is where we'll stack. And so we stack there. And the person who is targeted by the fireballs essentially just has to do a loop so that they can come in and join the stack. It's possible to survive a 7-man stack, especially if you have like a sucker or something up, but the damage does hurt. See, with everyone in there, 8 people, it did half health everyone. A 7-man stack back in the day would put you at like, you know, half of that again. And then a 6-man stack is basically unsurvivable without shields. So it's good practice to try and have everyone to come in. It's probably a little more survivable nowadays in Shadowbringers with the addition, or with the better food and everything else going on. But all the same, it's a good idea to try for the 8-man stack. And then we just spread out again. It'll do Death Sentence, which again is another tank swap. So we're all spreading out here. Cast its the hatches are coming out again from generate, and then this time is with Twister. So the main, so it's just Twister again. You just got to move at the end of the cast. The main thing really of note is that the people who do have the hatches coming for them can't just immediately stand in the Neuralinks, as they'll just drop the Twister under themselves and die. So they need to sort of just move in at the end of the Twister cast. The red marker will go out on someone, and it'll start shooting fireballs at a random player. And sorry, that is incorrect. The fireballs come out after that, after the set with Twisters is baited, and then it repeats, sorry. So now you get Neuralinks again without Twister, but with the red fireball afterwards, and the unbaitable fireballs. So unbaitable fireballs, red marker for stack will come here, and boom. It's possible to get the unbaitable fireballs as well as the red stack marker, which is what I believe happened there. Kaze had both, community had both. But that is essentially phase 1. You kill it, and it'll drop the Neuralink. Thank you for watching my TED Talk.